Sri Krishna Prayasi Namo Namo. Hare Krishna. You can just hang it right there. Okay, if you need. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvikacharya Satara Sadasri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prams Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Jai Jai Radha Krishna Gopa Gopana Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaurana Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mai Pranavadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 65, verse 32, and then 33 and 34, which finish off of the chapter. Vasitva vasasi nile malam amucha kanchanim reye swalankrito blipto Mahendra Iva Varana Vasitva Vasasi Nile Malama Mucha Kanchanim Reye Swalankrito Lipto Mahendra Iva Varana Vasitva Vasasi Nile Malam Amucha Kanchanim Reye Swalankrito Lipto Mahendra Iva Varana Vasitva Vasasi Nile Malama Mucha Kanchanim Reye Swalankrito Lipto Mahendra Iva Varana Vasitva Vasasi Nile Malama Mucha Kanchanim Reye Swalankrito Lipto Mahendra Iva Varana Vasitva Vasasi Nile Malama Mucha Kanchanim Reye swalakrito lipto. Mahendra iva varana. Ladies. Vatsvavasasini le. Malamamuchya kanchanim. Reye swalankrito lipto. Mahendra iva varana. Vasitva. Dressing himself. Vasasi. In the two garments. Nile. Blue. Malam. The necklace. Amuchya. Putting on. Kanchanim. Golden. Reje. He appeared resplendent. Su. Excellently. Alankrita. Ornamented. Lipta. Anointed. Maha Indra. Of Mahendra, the king of heaven. Eva. Like. Varana, the elephant. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Lord Balaram dressed himself in the blue garments and put on the gold necklace. Appointed with fragrances and beautifully adorned, he appeared as resplendent as Indra's royal elephant. Please repeat. Lord Balaram dressed himself in the blue garments and put on the gold necklace. Appointed with fragrances, anointed with fragrances and beautifully adorned, he appeared as resplendent as Indra's royal elephant. Purport. Anointed with sandalwood paste and other pure fragrance substances, Balaram resembled Airavata, the great elephant of Lord Indra. Nama Om Vishnu Badai Krishna Pastai Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Bracharani Nirasesa Sunyavadi Prasachadishtarni Vanchakalpa Charubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a nice verse, very, very descriptive of Lord Balaram, dressed in such a way that he's compared to the great opulence of Lord Indra's royal elephant. The purport is very direct and descriptive, and the tikas by the Goswamis, I'll just sum it up by reading Jiva Goswami's. And his tika is, the meaning is clear. This is sort of, in one way, as far as this class goes, an introduction to the last two verses, which are very, very beautiful, descriptive verses, speaking about the actual results of Lord Balaram's visit to Vrindavan. The other day in class, Mother Leela Shakti was reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we're reading from the section where Lord Chaitanya is instructing Sanatana Goswami. And it was a very interesting section. And this one area, one section of what we read on Saturday really stuck with me, because it is a very good example of how Lord Chaitanya is teaching basic point that we all need to know in our own Krishna consciousness. Of course, when he's teaching Sanatana Goswami or Rupa Goswami, he's really meaning for us to understand that, because these teachings it's like the teaching of Krishna to Arjuna on the battle of Kurukshetra. And this is not just for him. So turning to verse Madhya Leela 20, verse 355. Can I get some water, please? Lord Chaitanya here is quoting a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 10, verse number 34. And this is the chapter which deals with the liberation of the twin Arjun trees. And I won't read the Sanskrit, I'll just read the English here, because it's a very pointed verse. The Lord does not have a material body, yet he descends among human beings in his transcendental body as an incarnation. Thank you. Therefore, it is very difficult for us to understand who is an incarnation. Only by his extraordinary prowess and uncommon activities, which are impossible for embodied living entities, can one partially understand the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a very important point, because we've been reading in this past chapter these wonderful, very beautiful and deep exchanges between Lord Balaram and the inhabitants of Vrindavan, especially the gopis. The next verse, Lord Chaitanya speaks to Sanatana Goswami, is Swarup Lakshana Ara Tatasta Lakshana Edui Lakshane Vastu Jane Muni Gana. By two symptoms, personal characteristics and marginal characteristics, the great sages can understand an object. So I thought it was interesting, Swarup Lakshana, the personal characteristics, and Tatashta Lakshana, the marginal characteristics. And so I actually was reading what that means in regard to the verse we just read. And I won't get into all of it, but you go down the rabbit hole of philosophy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks very, very eloquently about Swarup Lakshana and Tatashta Lakshana, so much so and so scholarly that I won't bring it up in class because it becomes too detailed. However, our Lord and Master, Srila Prabhupada, as he always does, has managed to really, really focus in on what's essential for us to know about these two aspects. Swarup Lakshana, which means personal characteristics, and Tatashta Lakshana, marginal characteristics. And so Prabhupada speaks about this and really clarifies this subject, because it's important for us to understand this subject as we go ahead for the last two verses, and really also for understanding the previous verses. So in verse number 359, which is where Lord Chaitanya is quoting the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and I will not read the translation because it is very long, but I'm going to read Prabhupada's explanation of Swarup Lakshana and Tatashta Lakshana as it relates to this verse and to the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So he writes, Krishna tells Arjuna that although they both took birth many, many times before, Krishna remembers everything about his previous appearances, but Arjuna does not remember. Since Krishna is beyond the cosmic creation, he is in the exalted position of being able to remember everything in the past. Everything within the cosmic creation has a material body, but Krishna, being beyond the material cosmic creation, always has a spiritual body. he imparted, and now he's going to give another example here. And this verse about regarding Krishna and Arjuna, this refers back to the verse, the 5th verse of the 7th chapter, where Arjuna is questioning how it's possible that you spoke, Krishna, this Bhagavad Gita to the sun god, and that's a long time ago, millions of years ago, and you're a contemporary with me at the same time. And then Krishna says, many, many births we've both passed. I can remember everything, but you can't, Arjuna. And the point made by Prabhupada in the purport is very similar to this purport, in which he says that the living entity is conditioned. Even a great devotee like Arjuna forgets. Only Krishna has the, what we would call the metta position, the position beyond everything, so that there's nothing that's questionable to him. He knows everything. His position is beyond the position of every living. So now Prabhupada goes on to speak about Lord Brahma. Although Brahma is the most important and exalted personality within this universe, he could not remember what he did in his past life. Krishna had to remind him through the heart. When Lord Brahma was thus inspired, he was able to create the entire universe. Remembering everything about the past and inspiring Lord Brahma to create are vivid examples of the characteristics of called Swarup Lakshana and Tatashta Lakshana. Krishna is in a position which is categorically superior to us. The Jiva soul is Tatashta, which means we can be covered. And Prabhupada's making the point here is that every living entity is covered, every Jiva. And of course, if we get into the philosophy a little deeper, and I don't want to delay from reading these last two verses, every living entity, we're all parts and parcels of Krishna, and we're all covered. But the living entities in Goloka Vrindavan, they're covered by Yoga Maya. They're covered, but they're not covered like us. We're covered where we really forget. They forget too. They forget to be in love. And we forget because, well, we want a separate existence away from Krishna, even the greatest personalities. So for us, for me, reading these pastimes, I have to keep in mind how it is that Krishna, or Lord Balaram here, has this exalted position which I really can't understand except by his grace, and his grace comes through Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, and by understanding these pastimes to whatever level I can, appreciating them, because Prabhupada, in these other purports, I'm not getting into all the details, he talks about what's the difference between a devotee and a demon. The devotee is one who accepts the words of the Guru and accepts the words of Krishna, even if we don't completely understand. But the demon, oh no, this isn't real, this is mythology, this is something I can explain through some sort of mental wrangling. Text 33. Adyapi drishyate rajan yamuna krishta vartmana balasyananta virasya viram sucha yativahi. Vira mentioned several times here, which is potency, prowess, heroic. Even today, O king, one can see how the Yamuna flows through many channels created when it was dragged by the unlimitedly powerful Lord Brahma, Lord Balaram. Thus, she demonstrates his prowess. The Yamuna demonstrates Lord Balaram's prowess by being where she is today in Vrindavan. And Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami's tikas are almost the same, so I'm going to read Sanatana Goswami's tika. By the mercy of Balaram, the river flows there even today. The river is seen in the trough made by dragging of the plow. Or, by this, to some degree, Balaram's power is indicated. Actually, by pulling deeply, the flow of the river became crooked, or the river could go nowhere else, since he desired that it wander in Vrindavan. So this is saying, we just seen the Vrindavan, seeing the Yamuna in Vrindavan can remind us of the fact that it's there because Lord Balaram put it there, put her there. But then Sanatana Goswami, here's a parenthetical remark. Here's a remark a little off the subject. It's interesting because sometimes we hear this today even. Or this is just a local saying without too much meaning. And so in other words, he's also saying maybe this is like a little story made up by the locals. And sometimes we hear stories that are very charming, but they're not really scriptural. And this was a problem, an issue, even when Lord Chaitanya was here. There was the villagers had seen a light in the Yamuna, and they said, "Oh, this is Krishna dancing on Kaliya's heads." And his servant Balabhadra Bhattacharya came out and said, "Look! There's Kaliya, Krishna dancing on Kaliya." And then Lord Chaitanya said, "Don't take it so cheaply. Krishna doesn't appear like that so cheaply." In other words, Krishna doesn't come flying up at everybody with lights around him saying, here I am, because not everybody's able to see. Second verse of the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says, secret of all secrets, even though it's the king of knowledge, and it's the most pure. And by practicing it, we actually experience enlightenment by actually taking up Krishna consciousness. It's a secret. It's a secret because it's so wonderful that no one can really understand except by the grace of the Lord. He means certainly. By showing his power, did he not become less in power? He is unlimited because he has the greatest strength. By describing his prowess, his glorious position is indicated, or the cause of his prowess is his unlimited power. No one can refuse to follow his order. So no one can refuse to follow the order of the Supreme Lord. Balaram, he is here, ordered Yamuna Devi to move to where she is by pulling her. And this is a sign when we see the Yamuna, knowing these pastimes, that how Balaram is so great, and Yamuna is so great because she's given us a time of moving, has given us a more wonderful understanding of the power of the Supreme Lord. The Harivamsa describes his order. This path made by my plow should flood the beautiful place by spreading water. My fame shall remain as long as people remain. And I guess, according to Maharaj, there's a lot of flooding right now in Vrindavan. So I guess we could remember Krishna and Balaram when the streets are flooded in Vrindavan. Text number 34. Evam sarva nisha yata ekeva ramato raje ramasyak shipta chittasya maduryar rajayoshitam. This is a really wonderful verse, and the commentaries are very sweet. Thus, for Lord Balaram, all the nights passed like a single night as he enjoyed in Braj, his mind enchanted by the exquisite charm and beauty of Raja's young ladies. The last line, Maduryai Raja Yoshitam, by the exquisite charm, Maduryai, Madhurya. This sweet rasa of conjugal rasa, by the exquisite charm and beauty, Raja Yoshitam, of the women of Braj. Purport. Lord Balaram was enchanted by the charming pastimes of the beautiful young ladies of Braj. Thus, each night was a completely new experience, and all the nights passed as if they were a single night. And this is reminiscent or comparable to the statements of the pastimes of Krishna with his gopis. Balaram's gopis are different gopis than Krishna's gopis. But the description of the pastimes in the autumn rasa dance of Lord Krishna and the gopis is, of course, that the night seemed to be stretching as long as the one night of Lord Brahma, which is billions and billions of years. But it passed by a single moment. It's just like in the material world, sometimes someone is so engrossed in some sort of material enjoyment, like a movie or a sporting event or something, and it seems like the event goes on and on and on and on, and you're just absorbed in it, and then suddenly it's over. And then it seems like, oh, that was just a flash. But in the spiritual world, that experience of endless pleasures lasting only for a moment, but at the same time being endless, that's the norm. And that's because there's purity there. It's not conditioned by lust and greed and anger and all the different contaminations of this material world. So, this time I will read Jiva Goswami and his Tika and describing this verse. It seemed like a single night because of newer and newer experiences. The gopis were endowed with more sweetness than the women of Swarga. Of course, that's the women of Swarga, the heavenly damsels. From far off, Krishna sent this enjoyment to Balaram because he was pleased in his heart with how Balaram had appeased his gopis. Now, it's interesting, you think about Lord Balaram, he's entered into Vrindavan to do what Uddhava had previously tried to do with very limited success, actually. I mean, it was actually Uddhava who was getting the benefit more than the inhabitants of Braj, because Uddhava was not a Brajvasi. He was coming from Mathura. Although he has a very, very, very close relationship with Krishna, it was still not the intimacy of a Brajavasi. So he was trying to convince the damsels of Braj with philosophy, or talking to Nanda Maharaj in philosophical terms, doing what he could do. He was a disciple of Brihaspati. So, he was very, very learned. But in a sense, his mission failed because he wasn't able actually to deliver Krishna's heart message to the gopis, as Balaram is able to do. Because, of course, Balaram he knows what Braj Prem is because he's from Braj, and he's also Krishna's expansion. So it's not like there's any separation really between Balaram and Krishna. So Krishna's very enjoyment to Balaram, as it states here, because he was pleased in his heart with how Balaram had appeased his gopis. So there's this connection. Just like sometimes you think of someone and you think, and then that person calls you up or something like that. That even happens with us in this material world. But here, Krishna and Balaram, of course, they're communicating directly between each other because that's the nature of the spiritual world and the nature of Krishna Balaram. Balaram consoled all of Krishna's friends and even his gopis when he came, more than they had been previously because of revealing to them their eternal pastimes with Krishna. Krishna, understanding this, would also be consoled. So it's actually consoling to Krishna that, you've actually been able to speak to my gopis, speak to Radha, speak to the inhabitants of Braj, and the message has gone through. Krishna, understanding this, would also be consoled. Balaram says, Sarvesham kushalam Krishna, yesham kushalam ichasi. O Krishna, all those whose good health you desire are in good health. This is from the Harivamsa. So he reassures Krishna that everyone is in good health. In showing the Prakat pastimes, there is no description of Balaram leaving. Prakat means manifest pastimes. So Krishna's Prakat Leela occurred 5,000 years ago, and it's described in Krishna book. But Krishna's Aprakat Leela, which is his unmanifested pastimes, still are going on in Vrindavan, but can't be seen unless we're qualified. If we're qualified, we can see. But that qualification takes purification. And that's the process of Krishna consciousness. Actually, we have this process. This process of sadhana bhakti takes us from the platform of completely disconnected from Krishna to being connected. Sambandha gyan. We have a certain amount of knowledge of Krishna. So then abhideya, which is the process we're following. And it is a long way, at least for me, to prema bhakti. But it's guaranteed as long as one is following the process that one will come to that platform. And at that on that platform, one can be in Vrindavan and experience the aprakat leela of the Lord. In showing the Prakat pastimes, there is no description of Balaram leaving, since that portion was filled with suffering. No one wants to see him leave. Vishnu Purana merely states, Masa dvayena yatascha puna sa dwarakam purim. Staying 2 months, Balaram returned to Dwarka. Now this is a very sweet passage here. Harivamsa describes Krishna's meeting with Balaram. So here they are. It's been 2 months. 2 months. It's hard to describe that in the eternal, in an eternal way. I mean, but it's 2 months. So Balaram comes back to Dwarka, and here's the description in the Harivamsa. Balaram, still wearing a traveler's dress, beautiful with a new garland on his chest, embraced Krishna. So he's still dressed for the road. He sees Krishna. Seeing Balaram coming quickly, Krishna arose and offered him an excellent seat. How happy they are to see each other. Seeing him, Krishna asked him about the welfare of all his friends and cows. Of course, he knows everything, right? He's God. But that's no fun. Just simply know everything forever. You know, it's like if you're a gambler and you know you're going to win. It's no fun anymore. If every time you throw the dice down, you win, after a while it gets boring. And every time you bet on something, you win. It's boring. You lose your taste. There's no loss. So Krishna doesn't want to lose taste. He wants a taste. The taste of being in love and having relationships and being engaged with other living entities. So here they are. He's asking his brother. And then Balaram answers his brother, who spoke sweetly, O Krishna, all those for whose health you desire are fine. Then the two spoke on various subjects of former times in front of Vasudeva. So they just start talking about, growing up and being in the Gurukul or killing Kamsa or different sorts of conversations you might have in a public place. Not too confidential, because you don't really want to talk about that or these things that are more intimate. Because they were in the assembly, general questions and answers were given. In private, Krishna asked about his gopis. He didn't ask about the gopis in public because it's too intimate. So he shares it with Balaram. So here we are at the end of this chapter, and we have relished so much of these pastimes in these past 34 verses with Balaram visiting Vrindavan. And what's our qualification to understand this? Well, our qualification is that somehow or other we've met a pure devotee. In the association of a pure devotee, we can be given the opportunity to completely understand the Lord. Now, that will take time. In the meantime, as Maharaj has been saying over and over again, we have to remember Srila Prabhupada and the mission that he's given us, which is to give Krishna consciousness to everyone. We distribute books, we go on Sankirtan, we do different activities in which we can give the opportunity to the fallen conditioned souls to have contact with Krishna. And it's a big deal. For example, we were in Harinam the other day in Chapel Hill. And, you know, people there are just going to football games. They're happy and they're dancing around. They don't want to know anything about absolute truth. What is it? Is there an absolute truth? Who cares? You know? So we're singing, and people become enlivened, and we had Anadi with us. So Anadi's very lively. So there's a bunch of college kids at the light. See, they're trapped at the light. They can't go anywhere, and they have to hear. And the windows are open, and they're waving. So Anadi rushes out to the car in the middle of traffic, light still on his side, and hands them a book, and a couple books, and a flyer about chanting Hare Krishna. Well, there it is. There's their contact. They weren't looking for it, but Prabhupada has swooped down in there and given them contact. And we're the fortunate ones who can actually give them that opportunity. So let's all take the opportunity in any little way we can to try to help the conditioned souls find Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Bhagom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami pasyanti panti kayanti Chiram naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam
Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Namaho Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samani Komante Namaste Taksvati Devi Gorvani Vacha Nagini Visisha Janyavati Masya Jagade Satarande Jaya Shri Krishna Jana Brahmana Jananda Sri Advaita Gadana Siva Sade Gaurata Vrinda Jai Jana Shri Krishna Nirana Brahmanitananda Dvaita Gadana Sivasadi Gaurata Vrinda Gadada Siva Sari Nora to Brenda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Mure Ate. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Rat, looking na looking na hey. Jaya Rat, looking na looking hey. Jaya Rat. Hey, hey, hey. Paramahans
Chaitodarparamarjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amitas. I'm glad you're back dressing deities. Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amani Namana Dana Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrushim Vachintaya Nayanam Gladashu Daraya Varanam Gadgadrudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Bravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyavapadamritam manastumam adarshanam marmahata karotuva yatatatava vidadatulam pato mat prananatastusa evanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy name, that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, O Lord, unconditionally.